All right, here we go. Another episode of The Secrets of the Strong and Fit Driven Dad. And I got a driven dad coming at you on this episode. I'm excited because fellow CrossFitter, but not only that, this guy was the fittest dude in the world for his size. Big Red, my man Alex Ranieri. Ranieri, is that right?
That's right,
Did I
mate.
get it right? Awesome. All right, so dude, how are things going over there in Australia?
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the intro. I feel like I'm about to walk onto WWF or something like that, mate, and throw down. That was quite a
Could be, man.
quite an introduction. It's good here. Good, everything's good in Australia. Nice weather. Given we're heading into winter, it's been quite nice and warm and sunny, and perfect time of year for me. I love training then. Every time when we do the CrossFit Open, it's like, what would it be? Probably maybe up around high 90s to over 100 if we want to talk your measurement of temperature. That's hard for a big man. It takes a lot out of me. So I actually enjoy this time of year.
Yeah. It'll be interesting this year because there's a second CrossFit Open coming up, right? In what, October?
Yeah, and I'm not sure what the weather's like for you guys. That's heading into autumn, isn't it? That's a beautiful time of year.
It'll be a little bit warmer. So for us, the Open is like cold. Like the start of the Open, sometimes we get lucky and like, 0.1, 0.2 workouts are rather warm. And then the last 3 workouts are usually pretty damn cold. Like there was snow this year. So, yeah, man, it gets cold. But how did the Open go for you this year, brother?
This year was a little bit different. It came, I think, 150th in Australia, or it might be Australia, New Zealand. And it was tough, man, to be honest. My wife was heavily pregnant at the time with our second daughter, running Real Dad Movement, which is an online program for fathers, as well as my gym, a couple of businesses going. It was a switch, mate, that came about for me probably late last year, to be fair and to be honest, which led to the lack of training and intensity in my training and investing and prioritizing my time in really building my movement and having impact in a different level. I've played some professional rugby as well and been an elite athlete, I guess, or thereabouts for 15 years. And it was funny when the switch came. I felt like it was time just to pull back for a bit. And being 33 years of age, I feel like I'm sort of in no man's land as well with some of the higher level aspirations of CrossFit competing. So I thought, why not just pull back a little bit? So still enjoyable. Love it as always. Amazing atmosphere with the gym, as I'm sure it will be with yours as well. And it was good. But I feel like depending on what happens, it'll be a little bit different this year with October as well with the Open Prep, because now I've got number 2 here. She's 6 weeks old at the moment, and life changes again, as I'm sure you know, mate, with 3 daughters of your own.
Yep. It was very similar situation that I went through this year in the Open. We just had another daughter, so we got 3 of them now, and priorities just shifted, and just putting more attention on the members in the gym, and as you growing the movement online, but then family first, right? So that's pretty much where all my attention went, and I kind of just used the Open more so like to get fit for the online qualifiers. So it was a fun experience though, because it was quite a bit different dynamic. I don't know if this was the same for you, but like years past, it was always like very high stressful time because the Open, you had to do really, really good in the Open to move on to that next level. And this year was like a lot more lax, and honestly, I had a lot more fun this year myself. Not being so dialed in on it, man. But so you got a gym. How long have you had your gym? And it's what, CrossFit Raw Commando?
That's right. Yes, I've had CrossFit Raw Commando for just over 3 years now. Previous to that, I had my first gym was CrossFit Wellbeing, and that was the beginning of 2012. So I've been in gyms or owned gyms for about 7 years now, and both of them have been CrossFit gyms, as well as doing some online program for some CrossFit athletes. So it's something that's a big part of my life, and I really enjoy the methodologies and the fundamentals of CrossFit. Obviously, every CrossFit box is different in how they structure from the top down, but I love it, man. It's an awesome sort of methodology and concept that I push onto for longevity with what we do. So really enjoying it.
I like it, man. So what what initially got you into the gym business? Like a trainer, coach, like what got you into that initially?
Mm. Yeah, well, it's funny, mate, because I never grew up saying I'm going to own a gym or run a gym
Yeah.
or be a business owner per se. I started playing soccer and cricket at a very young age, and I loved them. I excelled in them really, really well. And there's a period where I really put on a lot of weight between 8 and 16 years of age and became heavily overweight or obese by certain standards. And that's a tough period of my life, man. And it was something that really rocked me with how I felt about myself and that level of depression and being bullied and lack of self-belief. And I feel blessed for some reason. Something sparked inside me that wanted to change. I had to change. There was no other alternative but to change my life. And I started lifting some weights. Dad put some weights in the garage and started lifting weights at around 14 years of age. I was still pretty overweight, but when I sort of hit that 16, 17 mark, really kicked on and got super fit and strong. So I thought, well, I'm going to showcase what I've got and see what I can do. And that was that whole, I've proven to myself that I'm not this fat kid anymore and I can do it. And ultra competitive, mate. And I dived into playing rugby or rugby league, and that through hard work and training and just crushing the pre-seasons and getting opportunities, I progressed into a career for 6 years where I was a top level rugby league player. But with that came, and when I started doing that at around that 18 years of age, I started my PT business as well, coaching family, friends. Wasn't really into the online space, as more word of mouth type stuff at that
Yeah.
stage. And that was a good thing on the side, but I was chasing this sport, this dream of being this professional player and all the glory and money that would come. And I ended up having 9 operations over 6 years, which was a pretty destructive period of my life. Talking knee operations, shoulder, like reconstructions, elbow, broke my jaw, my cheek twice. And when I broke my jaw, mate, I couldn't have any solids for 12 weeks. And that was hard, man. Like I'm talking, you think protein shakes are nice, you get over them pretty quickly, mate, and
Yeah.
it doesn't come out the other end right either. So it's a tough period, man, to the point where guys listening will love this, I'm sure you will too, where I got mum to blend up food for me. Like she was blending up hot dogs, the bun, the sauce, the meat, everything, and just this pink liquid, and it was rough, man. It tasted nice, but steaks, pizza, everything, mate. I just got desperate, lost weight, and that was hard, the broken jaw. But
You're blending up steaks and pizzas?
yeah, that's right. Put pizza in, a little bit of water, a little bit of hot water. Man, I couldn't think of it now, but I think we really take food for granted. So
No doubt, no doubt. But yeah, man, I mean, that's a powerful story, because if you go back in time to when you were going through that rough patch of your life, and then you found training and you took control of your body and you started to build that power and that strength, and then your mindset started to shift. And it's interesting, anytime I've heard those types of transformational stories, like you're going through those hardships, and so you do make that shift, and it's almost like that hard work is just instilled in you because you know where you're coming from, and that's where you're getting away from. And so it's even stronger versus somebody that's kind of been fit for their whole life and they haven't had to go through those hardships or deal with those life lessons that you learned, those experiences that you went through, and some of those tough times. It kind of molds you and shapes you into who you are. And so it's not a surprise that you eventually started playing some top level rugby, being a competitive athlete like that. It's just a pretty awesome story to hear. And so what were some of the big lessons that you yourself kind of took away from that as you were growing up, going through that you use today with your dads?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting that you touch on that, because it's funny, as I was coming up through the ranks with playing rugby, seeing guys who always had the talent. I'm not saying this is the case for everyone, but they always had the talent. They almost got a bit complacent or took it for granted. And man, I was hungry. I was so fucking hungry to continue to improve, and that level of hunger and drive and optimism. Those are probably 3 key points. They're massive for me, mate. And that's what leads to action, having that mindset and that output. And that is exactly what led me into the fitness space, like I spoke about, and starting CrossFit. And when my career was taken away from me through rugby, I had to retire, and CrossFit really filled that void that was left, that competitive nature. And then from there, it's really blossomed, mate, to have these different values that I now push on to my clients, both online and in the gym, and having that positive outlook and that belief in it is possible. These are the key things or lessons like you asked, that I've taken from my younger years, the adversities, the moments where at the time are pretty horrific, mate. It feels like on a knife's edge, you don't know which way it would go. It's now, core principles and values that I really help others harness and incorporate into their life, which is why I love being in the space, mate, because it's such a primal vessel for us, moving the body, nourishing the body, from which everything else greater and beyond can come from. It's awesome. I love it.
Yeah, man. And that what you mentioned is just having that hunger, that constant hunger to get better, and having that. And that's something that I talk about a lot inside the Forged Fathers. You have to have an ongoing contender mindset, right? And I've seen that in athletes. I've seen that in men who haven't gone through those hardships, and they've always it's kind of like you said, they have the talent, and so they run off that talent for a while and they get complacent. And then that's when they level off, versus the guys that have, to grind and hustle and, really bust their freaking ass. Like, they understand the importance of hard work, but then they have that extra edge mentally in being a competitor, or, well, obviously a competitor, but a contender. Like, you're always a contender, right? So there's always these higher mountaintops that we can get to as we go through life. And so I like that point that you made is, obviously is just staying hungry, man. Because, I mean, here you are, you're right. You're here now. I mean, has that hunger died off yet?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, not at all. And you're absolutely spot on. And it's so important because we are, like you said, we're always going to be in that, or we should be in that contender mindset, because life has changed and there's so many different things in different stages of our life. And yes, I'm sure you'll agree as well as myself, like physically in the CrossFit elite level, I've pulled down a little bit, but at what cost? There's so many other areas of my life that are much higher now. And that to me is truly understanding and having that awareness of what is important, what can I prioritize, and what can I now be competitive in this space to move myself forward. And there's some level of balance and imbalance that eventually becomes balanced through that as well, mate. I'm never going to stop training, of course, but that is something that's so important, mate. In some way, shape or form, we can still have that edge. And it's funny, Travis, because for me, competition, the definition, and I create this myself, it isn't about me trying to beat you and if you and me are doing a workout, I view it from a beautiful holistic line of view of we're striving for greatness together. Because I wouldn't get the result that I wanted in that MRAP or 5 rounds for time like that if you weren't there, and vice versa. It's not about me being you. It's about us challenging each other, challenging ourselves through each other, and that energy that we have to both push for a higher level of performance and achievement in life. That to me is competition. It's never a, yes, sucked in, man, I beat you. I've never been that way, which is why I love training, competing, because you can have a laugh. You're around good people. You surround yourself in that environment as you would in your gym, and it's pure, man. It's organic, and you're right. It never ends. It never should.
Yeah, I love that you mentioned that. I actually talked about that just yesterday, because we got I don't know. Are you guys going to be doing Murph here coming up? I mean, Memorial Day. It's a holiday here in America. So like gyms around the United States, a lot of them do Murph, Memorial Day Murph, in honor of him, which is a hellacious workout. Have you ever done it?
Yeah, I have. It's brutal. And we do it on our Memorial Day. We call it Anzac Day, which is the Australian New Zealand Army Corps, which was in April. We did that on April 25th. Yeah, we did Murph. Awesome. It's always the push-ups, man. That is the hardest part. It's got to be. I don't know how you find it, but it's just that number. It's quite an isolated move when you think about it. Pull-ups are fine. Squats are fine. The cardio, for me, man, I feel like the push-ups always take the longest.
If you're not careful and you hit that red zone, like, you're going to be quite a bit on those push-ups. And then when you get to the squats, it's like, well, shit, you just start cranking them out. But the push-ups are definitely the kind of the bottleneck for most people, So, but we got the Murph coming up. And so, a lot of guys, they're reserved to do that workout for a couple of different reasons. Like, they're doubting themselves, but they're also like afraid of where they'll finish amongst everybody else. And so kind of on the same lines, it's like, hey, we're competing against each other, and there's no way that I would go to this level unless you were right, on my right shoulder, pushing as hard as you are going too. And that helps us both excel. And that's why you know as well as I do, like, the importance of community and connection and competition. it's just going to, help bring that inner beast out that we all have. Right. But along those lines is that it's like, what you should focus in on is just who you see in the mirror and giving it your all, right? Because at the end of the day, if you gave it your all, but you still lost, you still came in last place, it's still a win for you because you left it all out there, right? And so I love that you mentioned that, the whole competition. I mean, it's important. So
Definitely. Yeah, and it's two sides of the same coin, really, mate. In doing that and competing and having that with someone else, but then that whole share and don't compare type format, because at the end of the day, you can only really compare to yourself and who you look at in the mirror, which is exactly what you said, mate.
yeah, yeah. Awesome, brother. So the Real Dad movement, you've been helping dads. How long have you had this movement going, brother?
Real Dad movement started September 2018. So we're up to now like seven or 8 months it's been going for. And similar to yourself, mate, like we've worked in the gym with fathers and other areas with fathers online in little bits and pieces. But having this now as something as a real core to help reach men and fathers who aren't within the proximity or close proximity of my gym is awesome, man. Like I love it. I really love it. It's something that I feel I'll have for many more years than I would have a physical site or gym, or look to have multiple gyms. So it's awesome.
Yeah. And now with that, you and your wife, you just had your first child, right?
Second, so yeah.
Second, that's right. And how old is your oldest then?
Stella, my eldest, she's nearly 3. She'll be 3 in August. And Lillian's 7 weeks old now. April 6th is when she was born. So, yeah. So 2 girls. So I'm not up to yet, mate. I'm not sure if I want to dabble and try a third. It's try for that boy. And
it's a whole, it's funny. It's a whole different dynamic. But how are you guys coming along with 2 now? You handling it pretty good? I imagine the 3-year-old has probably got a good routine going. She's probably somewhat under control, sleeping throughout the night, hopefully. But how's it been with the new addition, man?
Yeah, it changes, mate. It's something where it actually gives me a bit more respect for people who have 3 like yourself, because you're outnumbered at that stage. So the 2 we can partner up and change. And Stella's in a reasonable routine, not the greatest sleeper, but yeah, can almost dress herself and almost toilet trained and things like that, which is great. And Lillian, she's not too bad. As you know, mate, they don't really sleep. Like they've got to have feeds, and even though if your wife or partner feeds them, you obviously get woken up as well at times, or can. So it's good, mate. It's one of the things. I'm not sure if we'll have another. We had IVF for both of our kids. It's been really hard for Corinne and I to fall. So it's been, from a psychological point of view, many years of hard work and trial and error. And so we feel blessed that we've got the 2 girls. We'll probably stick with 2 girls. And growing up with 4 boys in my family, like me and 3 other brothers, it's completely different. But I love it. I don't know about you, man, but I love having daughters. It would not bother me at all if I don't, or ever never have a son at all. I love having girls. It's awesome.
Yeah. It's been great thus far. And I know you and I had the conversation, last week when we were on your show. And yeah, I'm content with 3 girls, but my wife, we still have kind of the conversation of maybe we'll try for that boy, but you never know. And like I told you, we'd probably get twin girls, so then I would really, really be in deep, man. So,
or triplets, 6 girls.
Oh, that'd be. But dude, so let's dig into your movement, man. So let's talk about the Real Dad movement. Like tell me about this thing, man. Like what's it about? What do you guys do?
Yeah, well, with the Real Dad movement, mate, it was really funny how it came about. It's something that I feel was inside for a long time in looking at, and it's not looking at right or wrong from a point of perspective in how the world's currently structured and viewed. But I found that through certain elements of the extremities of feminism, political correctness, and I guess having a tough run for the last 100 years in different lights as a man through, the greatest generation and fathers being quite firm, don't cry, don't be a girl, and obviously the higher level of abuse and hitting and those sorts of things. I feel, mate, that it's really shaped a modern world where not just fathers, but men feel like they don't know where they stand. They don't have an identity. And when I looked deeply into it, especially when I became a father for the first time 3 years ago, or nearly 3 years ago, it really struck me as like, well, and I'm not saying no one's doing it, but I'm like, who's matching that level of support and nurturing and nourishment for women and mothers out there for dads. Who's doing this? There's like on a greater level, on a mainstream level, instead of just like we have some local celebrities in our country that promote their brand of protein shake and like real stuff, like what you do, mate, with Forged Fathers. I know you've got guys all over the world, which is amazing, but that, like, and I was like, I feel like I need to help contribute to like what you're doing, like what a few of the other guys that I know who coach fathers as well is doing, and just try and add some value and really raise the standard of who we can be as men and fathers. And the reality is, especially if there's women and females listening to this, reality is they'll be happier and children will have a better role model and hero if men and fathers are allowed and have the opportunity to properly and genuinely invest in themselves and be the best they can be. And if they do that first, everyone else around them gets a better version of them. And that's something that, as you know, mate, we're limited by a physical structure, a brick and mortar type setup in having a gym. And I don't have a men's only gym. It's gyms with people from all walks of life. So the impact is still limited, I believe, is in terms of having just a group of forged fathers or just a group in Real Dad Movement where they're all dads, they're all men going through the same things, that resonating feeling and that challenge within and that team environment that draws the best out of them individually. I genuinely feel, mate, that this is the change that the world needs. And that's what really, brought out and birthed Real Dad Movement. And then linking up with guys like yourself and some of the other fellas, it's inspiring, man, to see that there's other people out there who feel a similar sort of connection and way.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with you. And it's like, bringing these guys together, and oftentimes guys in our position that have, kind of gone above and beyond and have, really hustled their ass off to, building a movement like within a gym, a brick and mortar, and changing lives, through that is huge. And not a lot of guys are able to be a part of that or be around it. So they just don't understand. Their standards aren't raised, right? And as you know, the direction the world's kind of going in right now, like, it's funny, we joke about it over here, but it's like the pussification of America, like guys are just getting soft and they're accepting average, and mediocrity is okay, and dad bod is okay. And it's like
drinking soy.
Yeah, drinking soy and all this stuff. It's not okay. It's not okay. Like, we were meant to be better. And like creating these movements, it's just going to be so powerful. And so it's awesome to see what you're doing out there and what you're creating. And it is going to go worldwide. Like, you're going to be worldwide. And something that I was thinking about just the other day is, like, with you and, the other coaches that we know that are doing the same thing, building, father movements. It'd be awesome to have like a world meetup, a world retreat, like once a year, like all your guys come, my guys come, and we just all come together. And as you know, it's just going to make us, so much better. I think that would be amazing to have like a world conference, like, whatever we decide to turn it into, but
that would be awesome, man.
For the Real Dad Movement, like, what is your big vision? What is your big mission for it?
Well, for Real Dad Movement, and this isn't, it's interesting, like we talk and laugh, or we'll talk about soy boys and pussification, that sort of stuff. It's not about, like, the term alpha, it's not about building dads who are these massive, beating my chest and screaming. Like, it's helping them believe in themselves again and raise their standards, as you do with your guys. And that is my vision, helping the world or families of tomorrow through the fathers of today, and really helping them break through these glass ceilings, because they exist for all of us, mate. We can all be better. I'm sure you knew that before you started Forged Fathers, and you're like, wow, I can do this. It is the same with me. I'm doing more than ever in a lesser, more efficient time, when I've just had my second daughter born, which would destroy or shake up a lot of men or fathers' worlds purely from that level of belief and perspective. So that's what I'm big on, mate, like shifting perception in ways that serves people to be better. My big vision that I do and I employ with dads, we get them moving, we get them fit and strong and lean. But the big thing is shifting the 6 inches between the ears, like really raising that standard for themselves and their belief. And from that, their wives have come on board, obviously not with RDM, but with being healthier and fitter. Their children do some of the home workouts with them because not all of them have gym memberships. Some of them train at home, and it's awesome. Like every dad, and you're the same, like every dad's life that you help and you shift and you change is having a flow on and ripple effect, like a drop in the ocean of their immediate family, potentially cousins, relatives, and their workers and colleagues. It's tenfold.
Yeah. Yeah, that is correct. It's like we're essentially building other role models, other leaders that are, they're going back into the family, and they're in turn, teaching what they're learning, going through our movements, right? So like the shift in perspective, the shift in mindset. And I know you more than likely know this as well as I do, but a lot of these dads, they're in homes where the other side doesn't believe, right? And I see this a lot when a guy will first start, like he's all on board. He's ready to do this. He's ready to make a life change. His wife isn't on board. She's the one kind of like pulling him down, and then like helping him break through that, and then turn around and, have an impact on her. And so that's huge, man. I love it. I love what you're doing.
And, that's so important too, isn't it? Especially getting, sorry, I think I might cut it then. Especially getting your spouse on board, because the big thing about that is maybe they don't understand, but when the fathers can be better, they're going to get a better husband, and it's something that is truly reciprocal and important, and making sure that there's a level of support in there. And, that pays massive dividends, not just for that relationship, but for obviously the fruit that's been born out of that in the children, mate. We're here for the children.
I love it, man. So to kind of switch back to your past, your performance, you as an athlete, I want to talk about this, bro. So you were the fittest dude in the world at your size. So 6'4", 250. So you're not 250 anymore, but let's talk about that, man. Let's talk about the Big Red. Is that how you got that nickname?
Yes. Yeah, I've had that since high school, and it just sort of stuck. And the kangaroo, which is a national, or it's on our national emblem, is nicknamed Big Red as well. We got some big, like people, kangaroos, they're ferocious, man. Like, geez, they've got some leg power, and there's some Big Reds. If you look them up, they're unbelievable. So I thought, I like this. I'll stick with this. This is all right, because at the time I was about 14, 15, so I was still sort of fat and a bit chubby when I got that nickname. So funny one, but yes, mate. And famously known, if you type me into Google, I'm sure you'll see quickly pictures of these big red tights that I used to wear when I competed, and or compressions or leggings, if you call them that. And yeah, that certainly stuck out in the crowd, this big man. And I'm about 240, 235 pounds now, but yeah, at the time, bigger and more muscular, and just had these red tights, no shirt on, and got out there and competed. So
you made it to regionals what years?
13, 14, and 15, 3 years in a row.
So I missed in 13. I didn't make it in my region that year. I messed up on one of the workouts. I was there 14, 15. I went with the team. Let's talk about 14, man, because I remember 14 was a gymnastics heavy regional. Strict handstand came out. You remember that workout?
Yep.
The front squats, strict handstand
burpees. That destroyed me, man. Yeah, it's horrible. I actually didn't finish that one. That was the one year where I didn't finish because the very first workout, and I love Nasty Girls, but when he did Nasty Girls version 2, and it was pistol squats, especially with my knee, and I had 4 operations on my knee, I can't pistol very well, or not for volume. And I kept up with the guys because the muscle ups I could do unbroken at that rep range, and the cleans were easy. And those pistols I was flying, and then round 2 just felt a little burn coming in the middle of the knee, and it came and came. And I still didn't come last that workout, but I could just feel it was going, and I continued on. I did the front squat one. We did it like literally 3 hours of hip and ankle mobility, try and take the load off the knee for the front squat. And those strict handstands again destroyed me, and the strict legless rope climbs, and I could barely run at that stage. And at the end of that day, which was frustrating, man, because I'm good with chippers and with the movements, the deadlifts, the wall balls, the rowing. I was going to destroy that chipper Sunday morning, but I couldn't even bend my knee after day 2, so I had to pull out. But that was a tough year, man.
Oh man, it was brutal. It was a brutal year. It was brutal. So for you, like, what do you love most about CrossFit besides just the competitive nature that it brings? Like, what do you love most about it, man?
The biggest thing for me, mate, especially coming from the background that I've had that you guys have heard about, is challenge and change, which is why for me, like, I'm naturally strong, but I don't really like doing heavy lifting that often, to be fair, even though I'm really good at it. I love the gymnastics because there's always a challenge there, and it challenged me, and I'm very coordinated, very sharp. I pick things up quickly, and I really love that. So am I a fan of strict things like strict handstands and strict muscle ups? They're okay. I don't mind them. I'm not massive on strict ring muscle ups because of my pure size and it's a tough move. But things like ring muscle ups, bar muscle ups, handstand walks, I love them, man. They're actually my favorite piece. And it's something that I do very well. Like, I've made it my bread and butter to be awesome at. I can beat, like, compete and do well with guys that are 40, 50, 60 pounds lighter than me. I can get 25 bar muscle ups unbroken. 20 strict handstands was the best of my record, which isn't bad for 250 pounds.
Yeah.
A handstand walk, not too bad. I think maybe 42 meters unbroken. But and look, there's guys who can do way more. But for me, that's what I love. That's what I get. And it's not using those outside or external things for that internal validation. It's just that reward of challenge yourself and just see what happens, which is why I love the gymnastics and the variety. It is a beautiful sport.
Awesome. Love it, man.
Mm.
Cool, brother. Last question I got for you. I wanted to ask this because, and I'm sure you get this a lot too, but it's, it's the old excuse of, I don't have time to train, right? So a lot of guys dads specifically, they have this mindset of, oh, I'm too busy to train. I got this and this and this and this. And as well as I do, we can always make time to train. But let's say you only have 20 minutes a day, what would a go-to setup be for you? 20 minutes a day.
Body weight or with equipment?
You can pick one piece of equipment. What would it be?
I'd choose one piece of equipment. I was going to say a cardio piece and a rower or bike, but I believe if you only had one, kettlebell. You can't beat a kettlebell, man. You can do so many things with it. You can do deadlifts, sumo high pulls. You can do rows, so you can work your back instead of boot camp style where it's always pressing, like push-ups and burpees. You can do presses overhead. You can do Turkish get-up. You can do so many different things. But a 20-minute workout, which just seems to be my life at the moment, because I don't go up to my gym that frequently now because Lillian's been in and out of hospital. It's been a tough period for her the last 7 weeks and my wife. So out the back, I do have a kettlebell in my backyard, and I've got a bike and other things, but a 20-minute workout would purely be, either 2 10-minute AMRAPs or something like a 5-rounder, which would be a complex. It'd be like, 25 kettlebell deadlifts, 20 kettlebell high pulls, and then 10 snatches each arm, 5 presses each arm, and I'd roll something like that, potentially with some bodyweight stuff. But you're spot on there, mate. Like, you can always make time. The biggest challenge I find with that and people having that perspective is finding different cues to help them snap out of their old stories and the old bullshit that they tell themselves. Because I find telling everyone, we've all got 24 hours in a day, like, that doesn't work for me, mate, because people have said it so often. It's almost like they just tune out to it. They're desensitized to it. Yep. For me, I did an amazing video the other day where I spoke about seconds, and I wrote it on the board. We've got 86,400 seconds a day, which seems like a lot. And when I broke it all down and mapped it all out, I was like, look at all of these things here and what you do. And I was quite generous too. I was look how much more time you actually have than you think you do. And if you came to me, like, Travis, if you were my coach and you came to me and said, look, Alex, you know how there's 24 hours in a day, mate. What we're going to do is I'm only going to give you 22. And let's take your sleep away, 7-8 hours sleep. So I'm only going to give you 14 hours a day instead of 16 hours a day. You know what? Those 14 hours are going to be the best damn hours of your life every single day, with energy and an optimistic outlook and more connection with your kids, with your wife, a better sex life, all these different things. You got to give me 2 hours, let alone 20 minutes. Of course I'd do it, mate. And that's what they don't realize. Like, if you sacrifice and give up 20 minutes or half an hour a day, not even 2 hours, you gave up 20 minutes, half an hour a day, or 45 minutes, and you got your body moving, you nourish the body, massive dividends. It's like paying it forward on yourself, mate,
Yeah. I love the way that you put it, because it's like, and a lot of guys don't understand this or realize it. And it is coming from their own stories and, just not knowing. But it's like, if you dedicate that 20 minutes, it's going to beat you down, and you're going to get tired, and you're going to get sweaty, and you think you might be, more tired throughout the day, but you're going to have this boost of energy. You're going to feel better. You're going to feel accomplished. Love it, brother. Love it.
Awesome, man. Cool. Good stuff.
Well, Alex, Big Red, I appreciate you coming on the podcast and sharing your story and sharing, more insight on the Real Dad movement. You guys are doing big things over there. And yeah, man, really appreciate it, brother. I know you're busy and you got a lot of stuff going on with the family too. So I hope everything goes well with that, brother.
I appreciate the invite as well, mate, and your time as well. It's been awesome. And what's your clean and jerk and snatch?
What's that?
Clean and jerk and snatch. What are your numbers? Talk to me.
So snatch has always been stuck at 265. So I've been stuck at that. No, 260. Clean and jerk 235 or 335. So how about you, man?
I think I'm probably about the same. I'm trying to crunch the numbers here, get my calculator out. But yeah, the snatch is my best power snatch. Because of my knee, I struggle to get quite low, but my best power snatch is 120, or power snatch is 120 kilos, but I think it's about the same as you. I think it sounds about right, about 260 pounds.
Yep. 264?
64 and 155 clean and jerk was 160. Yeah, something like that.
340?
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
Long time ago though. I can always hit like a 110, like a 240 snatch most days, and 300 pound clean and jerk. But like I said, it's funny. I feel like I just sort of get those not aches, but maybe it's nervous system just wears me out a bit more. I do like doing like the longer workouts and body weight, especially being heavy. I just get a lot more out of myself.
Yeah. Like this year, especially like in the open, usually I could do a redo like the next day or, give myself a rest day and then do another redo. But this year I was just like, I don't want to redo any of these workouts.
It was the same. Yeah, it was like you said, mate, I enjoyed it. It was fun this year, a bit more relaxed. And I think I only did maybe one repeat, the strict handstand, because I wanted to test that out because I enjoyed it. And I didn't really feel anything from it. It was a pretty easy workout. But
that was a fun one, yeah.
Yeah, but no, it's good, man. But thanks again for having me on, mate. It's been
bro.
good.
I appreciate it, man. Awesome.
Pleasure, mate.